Dear viewers of Smart 24 TV, welcome to this talk show program where I'm having a special discussion. It's another episode that I have been able to handle here at Buziga. And that's with our dear guest, that is Professor Dr. George Wilson Kanyihamba. And his profile is known to most of you, but our interest tonight, as we will be able to recall, we continue to acknowledge and appreciate the work you did as a former justice of the Supreme Court of Uganda. We also take the opportunity, sir, to appreciate you for the work you did in the education sector as a former chancellor of Kawale University and Kampala International University, actually at the same time. And we also appreciate for the work you did, sir, as the former Minister of Justice, Constitutional Affairs, and Attorney General of Uganda for 2 regimes. And also, it's a pleasure to also recognize the work you did while a lecturer and a senior lecturer at the professorship level in some of the great universities. I believe, I recall, if I'm to be corrected, including Oxford, right? Oxford University. And these are really international known universities, and having one who have lectured there and again came back here to Uganda to serve his country. And at this age, we find it very important to come and have a conversation that can help our next generation to build on specific areas of importance. We've had the previous 2 episodes that were rating in issues of commerce and also on issues of governance. But dear viewers, tonight we are dealing with the education sector. In other ways, we call it economics of education. And our topical discussion is the Ugandan education policy framework for citizen economic welfare. You recall some of the great scholars and great politicians. In this case, I remember the Mahatma Gandhi and also the late Nelson Mandela. And they continue to emphasize, as I say it in a paraphrased manner, that the backbone of an economy, and if you want to build the strong pillars of the economy of the country, education, education, education. It is a pleasure that you have been part also of such kind of scholars, have written books, and your interest was to ensure that Uganda can be a better country economically well developed. Professor, it is a pleasure once again to be with you in this evening.
Joseph, Dr. Joseph.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It is always a pleasure, especially to talk to you and spread my beliefs in what Uganda needs to move from the current position and become much more developed and prosperous. And believe in real education and not political education.
That's exactly the case.
When I was chancellor, both at the same time of Kawale University and Kampala International University, I was invited by the National Council for Higher Education to give a lecture to the guests of the foundation. It was then headed by Professor Kayanja as chairman, and Professor Kasozi as Secretary General.
Yes,
they are the ones who invited me, nobody else. So I gave a lecture on how to improve our educational system. I regretted that the NRM party has played other roles and ignored the plight of our educational system. I was wildly applauded by my listeners. After retiring as a judge of the Supreme Court, I was invited by the President of Rwanda, Kagame, to advise a system for them for higher education in Uganda. I believe they adopted some of my proposals. When I finished addressing the National Higher Council for Education and their guests, my niece was at the university, was at a school in Rukunjiri district. I was paying school fees for her. Then she came home with a report. And I read it through, and on the column of English language, the teacher had written excellent in the margin. But she had only scored 39 marks in that subject. So I looked for his phone, and I called him. And they said, Mr. Mato, I have read the report you wrote about my niece. She scored only 39 in English. But in the column of comment by the teacher, you said excellent. Was it a mistake? I said, no, it was deliberate. I said, but in other schools and other countries, 39 out of 100 is a fail.
39, that's right.
Yes. And he said, you must have misunderstood me. I was praising her because in English language, in our school, she scored 39 marks, and she was the first.
Oh.
You're a teacher, so I think you understand what shock to be.
That was a shock indeed.
Not only that my niece got 39 marks, but all the rest were behind her, scoring less than 39 marks. So I said, Uganda, we sank. The education standards have gone down. But I did more. I wrote a letter to the Honorable Janet Museveni, the Minister of Education. I sent her the correspondence between me and what the teacher said. It's about 10 or 11 years. Janet has never responded to my letter. Then, when I left... Yes.
1 second. The content, the major content of the letter was what was the recommendation of the major content recommendation?
The recommendation was that our education system must be overhauled.
Okay.
And we should appoint as teachers people who are well qualified to teach and have been to education institution of learning, and they should be assisted by professors from outside the schools. That was my recommendation. She ignored it.
Did it tackle the current challenge which has manifested of teachers' pay in terms of remuneration of low salaries?
At that time, I didn't talk about it.
Okay, please.
I was more worried about the standards falling and the values of education in Uganda.
Okay, sir.
But they are still crying even today, not only because of that, but because of poor pay. And I agree with them. Recently, they threatened or we went on a strike. I haven't heard what the minister responsible has done, but I often hear that the president, who has got other duties, is concerned with education and their pay.
Yes.
When you have a person, the person with the president who is eminently qualified to be president of Uganda,
yes,
now solving side issues like education and the labor, then you have a problem in place. You either have a president or you don't. So having said that, there was another incident. When I left being chancellor and the head of Kampala International University, illegally, Basajja Balaba, the owner and the chairman of the board, having dismissed me for giving up a spirited defense of the students at the university.
Mm-hmm.
And by way of footnote, I sued him, and the court awarded me the sum with interest, which is now about 5 million
500
shillings.
million shillings.
Million.
Yes.
500 million.
Has he paid it?
He hasn't.
Oh.
I go there, he doesn't. And he says, I'm a friend of Museveni. You can't touch me. I am the chairman of the NRM Investment Committee. Kanyamba, I will never pay you. Kahinda Tafira had such tendencies of not paying me my money. And after President Museveni had said, catch whether Kahinda Tafira should be Minister of Internal Affairs and responsible for the police. This was after Museveni had said, the Uganda police institution is the most corrupt institution in the country. He's on record.
Yes, sir.
So I'm not defending him. You can ask him.
1 second. We want to go back to your experience in tertiary education leadership as a chancellor of Kampala International University. You must have had an experience of what you look to have missed in such a kind of education and what would have been done.
But remember, Professor Karanja was the chairman of the tertiary universities and all higher education. Professor Kasozi, whom I admired most, was the Secretary General. So when the president and the NRM wanted to change the system, they sacked both. At that time, there was no problem whatsoever. That Professor Kayanja would listen to the policies I was proposing.
Yes.
But he never had a chance. My post as chancellor, I was dismissed illegally by Basajja Balaba, the chairman of the board of that university. And everybody knows. It's because I defended the interest in students to improve their standards and values and integrity. That, to Basajja Balaba, was very wrong. So he sacked me. But even when I sued him and won, he has never paid my court compensation and the cost. And these are the people who are in charge of our education system. At Makerere, parent came to me.
Yes.
And they said, during the period of exam, a professor had proposed in test his daughter that you come and stay with me here at Makerere. And my wife has gone abroad for Cheyo. If you stay with me here the whole weekend, you will certainly get first class in the subjects I teach. At that time, he was teaching 3 subjects. When the parents told me, I was livid. I said, we must get that professor and sack him from the university. The parent said, Kanyama, you are my friend. If we do anything, my daughter will be penalized and he will be punished. So I don't accept your proposal that we should expose that professor.
And your action was to instill integrity in university. So one of the key challenges that has affected the tertiary institutions of higher learning, it is integrity.
Absolutely.
And, lowering down the standards and the values.
Not only that, and the value.
Yes.
And compromising students by offering them sex for degrees.
Oh.
It
Harassment.
Was even, it was
Sexual
part
harassment.
of a report at Makerere University and the Chamber of University. So, obviously, the minister doesn't know what to do because herself has got very elementary and inadequate, in my opinion, little tertiary knowledge of higher degrees. So she is not, that is deliberate, she doesn't know what to do. You know, recently, 5 law students and me and I, to use the correct English, and I sued President Museveni, the NRM, and the Attorney General for threatening the right to bail. Museveni, who is wiser than most of the NRM people, if not all, responded to our petition in accordance with the law. The Attorney General did not. He did not appear in court at all since then. If I hadn't met him in a different role, I wouldn't know how he looks like. He feared to appear in the same court where Professor Kanyamba is also arguing the matter.
So
his advice to the president
yes
was accepted. I don't know where it was, but thereafter, when they saw we were petitioning, Museveni withdrew his threat to the right to vote. He said, I will not do it anymore. I leave it to the judiciary, and I respect their integrity to decide correctly. That is in a statement which is now published worldwide. The first copy I gave it to the Bishop of Kampala, Paul Semogerere. The second copy, I delivered it personally to the Bishop of Uganda at Namirembe, who promised I should hand him over his colleagues' copy, Semogerere, and he would deliver it.
Allow me to go to this direction of a discussion. When I read your book, and the title, there is this one of the defeat of President Museveni. There is another one about the incredible, Kanyamba the Incredible.
Yeah, I didn't write that.
Yes.
It was written by my friends, including...
So the one of...
The Dedication.
The one of the incredible, it gives us your education life history.
Yes.
Of where you inspire most of the poor Ugandan children.
That's right.
How you were able to make it. How you got scholarships. Finally, you went into schools. You were able to excel. And by that time, it was entirely a sponsorship. I mean, government-aided schools.
Yes. Both local.
Yes. And
this is local government gave me scholarship.
I'm coming to you now. Now, we are comparing on how to improve the citizen economic welfare. The same children who comes from Nyamasizi, in a primary school, you know, and the current children who are there are totally different. You came out as great people, admired by the world, and did a societal transformation.
Yes.
But it is a different case of now. In the analysis of that, much as a lot has happened, we have UPE, Universal Primary Education. We have Universal Secondary Education.
Which a consensus of the numbers rather than the values or standards of education.
So that's why we would like to know what really has transpired and how can we make a turnaround to streamline our education to be better. Not saying either UP is not bad, US is not bad. And in the event of analyzing what has gone wrong, because it is becoming very difficult to get the very child who have studied from the school which you went to. You started from Nyamasis Primary School?
No, I said in Nyaruhanga.
Yes, Nyaruhanga.
Yes,
Thank you. So Nyaruhanga Primary School, which Nyaruhanga by that time was among the first old schools around there.
That's right.
And the current ones who are coming out. The other day, I have found you reading a paper of where we are having a kind of our new product of MPs, and one of them who gave was just making a state presenting a state of a matter of national importance, and the kind of product. Not only a politician, I'm generalizing.
That's right.
What has gone wrong? What was the secret of the success of the first education?
Secret with us. And you talked about Cheesy, the Catholic school in my area, where father, Kabashali, went, and he was my great friend. And I went to Nyaruhanga, another national school. The standards and values of education were those we inherited from missionaries sent by big missionary centers in Europe, the Americas, and France. That's why most of the students, like Joseph Mlenga, brilliant performer, was a Catholic. And Kanyihamba, reputed to be also a brilliant performer, was in Nyaruhanga because he was a Catholic and I was a Protestant. We ended up in the UK where that kind of classification did not apply.
So those were missionary primary schools.
That's right.
With great teachers.
With great teachers.
And with
great values.
And with great values.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Things that girls and the boys were going out together when they were at school was not hard though. Maybe it was wrong, but it was to avoid pregnancies and wanted the pregnancy. And the people not concentrating on their studies.
Was it now that kind of moral discipline? Was it as a result of religion and the morals of the then time, or
it was partly religion and the values and the standards of the education department of the time?
Okay.
Yes, it was a combination of those.
Okay.
Now, as I have told you, later in life, when I got married, Museveni, rather justice, he was not justice yet, senior counsel, who was the chairman of the Law Society of Uganda, Mulenga, was my best man. And when he later became engaged to a girl, a beautiful girl, now deceased, he insisted I would be his best man. Those were the values. You didn't care whether the teacher was a Protestant or a Catholic. You went for his integrity and the value and the standards of education. That is the example of what we were doing in those days. Today, so long as you are a supporter of the NRM party and of the president, you are very, very, very eligible to be appointed to any office, whether you are unknowledgeable or uneligible in education. That's the system we have today. And it is a disaster for this country. The kind of education we are having, tolerating, is disastrous to the growth and development of this country. And it has been affecting the president himself. I'll tell you an example where the president ignores even constitutional legal provision to support a policy propounded by his own minister.
We are going to interact from time to time, and that's how our talk show will be better.
Okay.
In the first place, I want you to consider it and you'll give me your view. And me, you know, I told you when I'm here, I just put double lenses, so you bear with me.
Yes.
We have had the very government of the NRM, which has appointed the vice president who was a professor, Professor Gilbert Bukenya. I don't intend to discuss personalities,
No.
but I intend to make a commentary, commentary in review what you said. We've had a government in this regime, the very regime, the NRM government, which had the prime minister, the late, may his soul rest in eternal peace, the late Professor Apollo Nsibambi. I've enjoyed his, you know, author book of books, and also I also appreciate his values, by the way, even in his, you know, retirement age.
My latest book.
That is Professor Apollo Nsibambi. We have had, we also had the vice president, Dr. Special Sakazibwe. And all these are
very articulate, brilliant woman.
And all these have been in the government of the very NRM.
Yes.
So the appointment, so such people, why I'm coming to you over this to maybe give me your comment, your analytical view. While they are surrounding with the president at a certain time was sitting with the professor who is the vice president. President certain time was having the prime minister who is a professor. What keeps these policies not becoming a reality of what we desire our country to be? Yet the professors have been also part of the government.
I'm very glad that we have mentioned all that.
Yes.
We could even add Justice Mulenga. We could even add Katurebe, former Chief Justice. Both he and Odochi are very brilliant lawyers. But President Museveni ignores their advice and instead follows that of anybody who is MP or representing the NRM party. That is now his number one priority, to support and approve and share the views of incompetent people and unqualified teachers, so long as they are for movement.
So don't you think we will owe either a blame to those who were appointed and never did what they are? So they gave, their advice was not followed. Because in developed countries...
You see, that's where you have a problem, and the other people, many Ugandans. You can't blame Kanyihamba for having been there when President Museveni changed the law. I don't have a gun to shoot him.
I get you.
And that would be wrong.
That's okay.
When Judas Iscariot betrayed Jesus, Jesus was crucified because there was nobody to arrest Judas and detain him for telling lies. That is God. Jesus, you and me regard him as a God and the Son of God. So if God himself can fail to discipline these people, what is Kanyihamba, Mulenga,
thank you,
or Zimbabwe to make a nation?
Thank you. Thank you for your submission. We are going for a commercial break.
Thank you.
But our generation, as we go for a commercial break, this is my values also. I believe you appreciate my values, and which are relating with the civilized communities.
Yes.
Where I am serving, and you are supposed to do, you are the president, you are supposed to do number one, number two, which is for the good of my countrymen and countrywomen. If you don't do it, I resign.
Yeah.
See you in the...
I resigned 3 times.
Oh, you also did it.
I offered my resignation.
Okay.
But there is a tail in my resignation.
Okay.
I resigned knowing that Museveni would definitely change his policy or explain it to my satisfaction.
Oh.
And that's what he did.
Thank you. Let's go for a commercial break. I didn't know. I've got it from today that you resigned something.
I resigned 3 times.
Dear viewers, stay tuned on Smart 24 TV. We are just, going through this 3rd episode of Professor Kanyihamba and the education system of Uganda. A lot has transpired, and we continue to get interested to look at how we can have the education reforms that can transform the citizen economic welfare. See you in the next session. Thank you.